Welcome to the Through the Lens of Learning podcast. If we haven't met, hello, I'm your host, Dr. Tracy Schroyer. I'll give you 2 words that summarize me to a T: lifelong learner. Join me as I share a bit about my own journey of curiosity, learning, and wonder. You'll also get to hear from some phenomenal individuals on what they're curious about learning and what they have to share too. Are you itching with excitement yet? I am, so let's get started. So thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of the Through the Lens of Learning podcast. And I am joined today with a special guest, a PRIME Pageant winner, Mariette. So welcome, Mariette, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. So Mariette, before we get into your learning journey with the pageant and just in life in general, a question that I ask for all of my guests is, how do you define learning?
Learning to me is a series of gaining knowledge and understanding through life experiences. You can learn things in a textbook, but I believe that life is the best teacher. So you take that knowledge, you integrate it into your life, and hopefully you come out on the other side better for learning whatever it is that you learned.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so can you give us insight into how you even found out about PRIME pageants? Have you been in pageants before? Like, what was the interest? What was the buildup to even get involved in this program?
Wow. So PRIME actually, I joined PRIME in May of last year. So I was kind of late to the party. It was about 4 months out from the pageant, but I actually started pageantry in 2019. It had been a bucket list item of mine. I always, as a little girl, you're watching Cinderella, you're watching Miss USA, Miss Universe, and you want to experience that. Like, who doesn't want to dress up and get a crown and a sash and be,
right?
But as I got older and I gained weight, because I am a full-figured woman, I didn't know that there was a market for plus size pageantry. So my good friend, Dr. Angela Rivers Harper, she's the director of Northern Valley Pageants. And she had modeled, and she was a full-figured woman, and she was so beautiful and confident. And I said, I need that in my life. So that was about 2015. I watched her from afar. She has a, full figure fashion weekend here in Cincinnati. So, she really creates a space and an atmosphere for plus size women to be celebrated. So in 2019, I got the nerve up. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I paid my money for the state pageant. And I said, immediately, I was like, oh my God, what did I just sign up for? Right.
Right. The fear set in.
Right. Too late though, because she got my money. So, it's like, okay, put up or shut up now. Right. So I competed in the state pageant. So my first pageant title was Mrs. Ohio American Beauties Plus 2019. Awesome. So from there, we had to go on and compete at the national level. And that was in October of 2019. Now, I was in a division with 8 phenomenal married women. Everybody in that delegation deserved the crown. There were seasoned pageant title holders. There was just a whole conglomerate of women. And I was like, okay, I'm just happy to be here. And it's a bucket list item. And yes, I've loved the journey and who I've become along the way. Well, what do you know? They call my name as a winner.
Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine that feeling, like being on stage.
Totally floored. Okay. Wow. I was just going for the experience and just happy to be in the room. And then they called me as the winner. So my first national title was Mrs. American Beauties Plus 2019. Well, a few months later, COVID hit. So I was a COVID queen. So my first rank was 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So in 2021, when we came back, because we didn't have a pageant in 2020. We came back in 2021, I crowned my successor, and I was like, whoo, I am done. I'm going, just rest for a little bit. Well, then we were all so each of the queens in this system, we are put in it's not really a competition, but it's based on your reign, how you represented the system, how you grew through the process, and how you mentored your division queens, and I ended up winning another award, and I was the outstanding queen for American Beauties Plus. So I
Oh
had
my
another
gosh.
year reign, right?
Oh, so that meant more. You
So
keep
yeah, so
going.
that meant more. And so
Ah,
I completed that reign, and I crowned my successor. But in the meantime, in between time, pageantry had connected me to Kaylin Tiggs, and we had my sister queens in Northern Valley. We had partnered with Kaylin. She was doing they were doing a tiara day up in for a Girl Scout troop up in Toledo. And at that time she was Miss oh my goodness, Miss American. um I forget what her title was, but she had won the national title. So
wow.
you when you win a national title, or you become a state title holder, you get all kinds of friend requests and queen requests and stuff. So she was in Ohio, so I just followed her and figured out how I could support her. So that sparked a friendship. And when she crowned her successor, her and Kristen had linked up, and I seen her talking about prime pageants. Well, I kind of followed to see what she was doing, because I mean, she's a mover and a shaker. And I kind of looked in it, and liked the things that were going on. I asked her a couple of questions, but I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to be done here in a minute, and I think I'm trying to retire.
You go out on top after you get your
Yeah.
crown and you get your additional awards and everything like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready to retire. So after I had crowned my successor, I seen something pop up on my timeline from Prime, and I liked the status, because it was like, well, it was really interesting. So Kristen hopped in my inbox, and I was like, I'm trying to be done with pageantry. And and as I had looked at the girls, I'm like, okay, now look, I'm a plus size woman. I'm a full figured woman. And you got these little skinny girls running around here. Well, because I mean, pageantry, if you really think about it, it can be really brutal.
Oh, I
So
bet.
I'm
Yeah.
coming from a space where, the women are full figured like me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and
Probably a
how am I gonna
safety in that.
right? How am I
Yeah.
gonna be accepted? Is there a place for me?
Hmm.
And so I signed up after talking to her, because she is a fire starter all by herself, honey. She don't need no matches. I mean, you put her in front of it, and she's gonna close the deal. But what attracted me to Prime, I was in a situation where I had literally, like, 2 months prior, had decided to end a 9-year marriage.
Yeah.
And looking at Prime and the 7 areas of self-care, and the things that the masterminds and the opportunities to be able to set some goals and get your life on track, and have people around you that actually are on not maybe not on your particular journey, but they are
Mhm.
on a similar journey with bettering themselves. That's what sold me about Prime. And here I am.
It's different in a great way than other pageants, is what I'm learning
Oh,
from
it
talking to the queens.
absolutely is. I mean,
Yeah.
coming from a traditional pageantry stage where, it's really all about beauty. I mean, I'm not saying that, you don't want to be the best version of yourself.
Right.
A tube of lipstick, a crown, and a sash will make you feel like you on cloud nine. Let's be clear. But coming from that space where it's all about how you perform. You have your interview, you may have a state costume, you have a on-stage question, you have your evening gown, you have your fashion, where all the different areas of competition that are in a traditional sense. I mean,
Mhm.
the week is long. There's activities popped up on top of activities. I can say from 2019 to 2022, when I crowned my successor, after my 3-year stint here, me and one of my good friends, we were trying to figure out how many times did we really eat the last 3 pageant weeks that we
Oh gosh. Just go,
because
go,
I mean,
go. Huh?
it's go go go. And then when you're a
Yeah.
title holder, you have responsibilities to your division and the other
Mhm.
contestants. So that's a
Right.
whole different ball game. But being in Prime, and like having the accountability groups, and I just and and the goal setting. And it's like, wow, I can really just take a step back and really focus on me. What are my goals? It's not,
Mhm.
and it wasn't so much pressure. I was like, oh, I only have to find a state costume. I have to have an interview outfit, a state costume, and an evening gown. Like
Not bring a
that.
whole rack of wardrobe.
Right. But you know what the pageantry piece is that you are celebrating where you came from when you first signed up. And if you really embrace this journey,
Love that.
you can accomplish so many things. There are so many people that I met during that week, even though they didn't win, they were just so proud that they overcame or they accomplished something that they set out to do. And it's
Mhm.
like, I found a part of me that I didn't know existed.
Oh.
And I think that, you know, in any pageant system, if you're just going for the crown or the prize package or whatever the case may be, that you truly miss out on the authentic relationships that you can build, the networking that can happen. I mean,
Mhm.
I became, and since I entered pageantry, I'm an international best-selling author.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Congratulations.
thank you.
It's huge.
I have an online magazine, you know, so
Mm.
all of these great things just happen out of networking and truly being
Mhm.
a sister to those around you, because we're all on the same journey trying to survive life, right? And trying to
Yep.
figure out like what is going to be the best for me. So why not do it with us, with some sisters, some goal friends,
Yeah.
that you know can help you along the way.
Definitely. Definitely. So I know within the Prime pageants, you select a platform
Mhm,
and you work on things related to that platform, building up to the actual pageant. Would you
mhm.
share a little bit more about what is your platform and maybe some of the things that you learned or found along the way?
Well, so actually, if I really looked at everything, um, I could have touched I could have touched every one of the 7 areas of self-care, honestly. But what I really focused on was rebuilding my life after divorce and what that actually looks like for me.
Mhm.
So I focused on my mental and emotional health and also my financial health, because I mean, there are things, you know, when you've been married that long, there are some financial things. That's why a lot of people won't pull the trigger and do certain things because, you know, the finances,
Mhm.
you don't have the means that you need to be able to survive on your own. So it's just really been a rebuilding process for me. And when I did my focus statement, you know, the accountability pieces that I put in, you know, especially with my mental and emotional health, um,
Mhm.
I built accountability partners, not just within Prime, but you know, within my personal circle as well, you know, because I battled depression. And one of the things that I asked my, you know, my circle of friends was, do not let me isolate myself. You know,
Mhm.
what,
Yeah.
check in on me. If you haven't heard from me in a week, please check in on me. I never even though this has been a devastating thing in my life, I have never been at the point where I felt hopeless. And I am so grateful and thankful for that. And when I brought that over into Prime and I opened up and chose to be vulnerable, because it's really hard, you know, to unearth that part of your life, especially when there's so
Mhm.
much shame that can be, you know, encased around this.
Right.
Um, when I opened up and shared, like, okay, look, I'm going through a divorce. I'm just, you know, this is what I'm focused on. I'm trying to rebuild my life. And there were so many queens that had either been through the situation or had just came out of the situation and they reached out
Oh.
to me. And I mean, and I could put in our group chat, I am not okay, guys. You know,
Mm.
and
Yep.
I get a phone call, a text message, you know, can I pray with you? What do you need? So when I was on my way to nationals, my state costume wasn't quite finished and I was scared that I wasn't going to have it on time. And one of my pageant sisters from California, she called me, she said, hey sis, what can I do? How can I help you fix your costume? You know, so
Oh.
those are the types of things that have really just been the wind beneath my wings, you know, and just really
Mhm.
helped me keep going. And now, you know, that I'm a, national title holder again, I get to sew that back into somebody else. So that's,
Yes.
that's really the thing that really just keeps me inspired. Like, oh my God, there's another group of ladies that are coming in. Let me give them all the good things that we experience together with the masterminds, with the, with the building of your platform, just whatever it is, whatever this journey is that you want it to be. If you put in the work, you can definitely get all the results that you desire.
Right, right. So before we talk a little bit more about what lies ahead for you and what does that look like, I want to ask you, so you're at the actual pageant that week, those couple days leading up to it, and what was just the feeling of being there? And I know a lot of, and you're describing a real true sisterhood, is you're seeing a lot of these, fellow women virtually for so long. And I'm imagining you met a lot of them for the first time during that pageant week. What was just that overall feeling?
It was like a family reunion, honestly. Well, because, all the ladies were just truly, truly genuine, and it's not like, there's mean girls everywhere you go. Let's be clear. But there was nobody that was trying to get the inside scoop on you, to be able to stick it to you,
Yeah.
So I felt like I was meeting up with my long lost girlfriends, and it was amazing, and I got to go to Disney.
That is awesome. I think I did see some
the
pictures on social media where many of you are wearing your crowns and your sashes and walking around. I think it was Disney Springs.
The custom ears were just everything.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Yes, the custom ears for me. And they had my name on them.
So when you were on stage and they were calling out the finalists and then you hear your name, what went through your head at that moment?
God knew exactly what I needed.
Oh.
And okay, not gonna get emotional. One of my Heidi Peterson from Utah. She came and she gave me a hug and she said, Marita, God knew exactly what you needed.
Oh.
And that moment for me was like, oh my God, this is really happening. Because so there was supposed to be someone in my division and she caught COVID and she couldn't come. And we FaceTimed each other and talked, and I know that when you're the only one in your division, that it's like, okay, well, she won by default. Well, you know what? Yeah, I did win by default, but everything that I did up until that point put me in the position, regardless if anybody was there or not. And then, and my mindset is always to work to be worthy of the title, just because they call your name. Because I've seen so many things happen in these last 3 years that it's like, okay, well, they called your name, you won, but then you sat on your title and you didn't do anything. And it's been ingrained in me to be a working queen, to use this platform as a way of as a way to be able to facilitate conversations. When you put on this crown and sash, you wouldn't believe how many people want to listen to what you got to say. It just still amazes me that people want to know what this little country girl from Elkson, Kentucky has to say when she has this crown and sash on. But one of the main things throughout pageantry, one of the things that I've done, and I've always been heavily involved in the community. So my personal platform, because I got the bronze Presidential Service Award. So I've been a working queen for a long time. And the work that I do with the Alzheimer's Association to honor my family, that's one of the things that, I facilitate a support group, once a month for the caregivers. I participate in the walks. I volunteer for the diversity, equity, inclusion, things with the Alzheimer's Association. So, I really, want to take this crown and sash and really, pull people in, to raise awareness about different issues and obstacles that people may face. But most importantly, when you're transparent about who you are and your journey, that gives people the boldness to say, you know what? I can do this too. And that's what this is really about for me at the end of the day. If I can inspire somebody by opening my mouth, because when we're closed mouth, the saying is closed mouths don't get fed. But biblically, the Bible tells us that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and through the word of our testimony. So how dare I, as a believer in Jesus Christ, how dare I sit on my testimony, because the words that come out of my mouth could be the very thing that gives you the deliverance that you need to break free from whatever it is that's holding you bound. So that's what this really is about for me. Yes, I'm getting something out of it from a personal perspective, but I also know that my life is not my own, and that I live my life, as a testament to the goodness of God and how he has changed my life.
That's beautiful. Just beautiful. It makes me think of too, how sometimes people, they're affected by something, whether it's them directly or indirectly, and they say, why me? And a lot of times people say, why not you? Like, you have a story to tell, you have, you can inspire people too. So I love that.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So what's next? What does, now that the pageant is over, you're crowned a winner, what does this next step look like? I know some queens have talked about mentoring others that come along in the pageant. But what are some of the things that you have ahead?
Well, so that is a big part of what we're doing, because, pageant season never ends. So as soon as, you get your crown and your sash, it's like, okay, it's time to get to work. So, we do have a new delegation of queens coming in. We have what is called a PRIME program, which is a pre-qualifier for you to actually advance to the next stage to be able to become a state title holder. So we have queens, that are going through that program that we're kind of assigned to, to help them along the way, to encourage them to answer any questions that they may have. Then once they get to the state queen range, or the stage, that's when they get assigned to their division queen. So right now I have 2 state queens I'm really excited about.
Awesome.
So, we'll set up calls and, let them ask questions, get their fears out of the way, and just really have a safe space for them, where you may not want to ask questions in a big group. But if you're, one-on-one, or, a couple of you guys with, your national queen, you'll be more apt to open up and, talk about the struggles that you're having, or, just to have that woo-saw moment, because this isn't a sprint. It is definitely a marathon. And especially when you're, working on personal goals and things like that. But as far as what's next for me, I really enjoy the mentorship in pageantry. That's the thing that when you see somebody coming in brand new and they don't know anything about pageantry, and you help them, establish their goals, and you see their, celebrations, and, maybe even some letdowns. But then when they get on that stage and everything that you have told them, it's like the light bulb comes on and they get it. That's the exciting thing for me. But this year, I'm really focusing on, from a personal perspective, I'm focusing on my health. Life happens to all of us, but one thing, health is wealth. That is a true saying, and you only get one body. So, there are some things that I have neglected over the years. So, I'm really focusing on lifestyle changes, not just the fad type of lifestyle change, but one that is lasting. Because I plan to be here, past 100 and still be in my right mind and, still have
Right.
faculties about me. So I got plans, girl. But I'm continuing on with the Alzheimer's Association, and also, still focusing on my financial goals. So, and from, a professional standpoint, I am really looking at what's next. As far as like with my digital magazine, through the magazine, I'm really discovering my love for writing again. So there's an opportunity that I can be a author, a collaborative author. So
okay.
I want to look at that, see how I can, help people be able to share their stories.
Mhm.
But yeah, so those are just some things that I really have going on, because I really am ready to not clock in and be told how many vacation days I can get and all the things that come
Right.
along with, having somebody else write your paycheck for you.
Yeah, be your own boss.
Absolutely.
Right, right. So if somebody is, and maybe there's a woman that's listening and thinking, I like the sound of this Prime Pageants. It sounds a little bit different. It sounds like something that I could do, but I'm not quite sure. Like, what might you say to get her off the fence and do it?
I would say that investing in you is the best thing that you could possibly do. I mean, we invest so much for into everybody else. We show up for everybody else. But how about take a time and just show up for you? You're the best investment you'll ever make. With Prime, there is no cookie cutter queen. And when you look at each of us, each of the national title holders, we are so vastly different. But one thing that I can say is that we all have the same heart, and that's what binds us together.
Awesome. Awesome. So Marita, if there's somebody listening who wants to either connect with you or follow you, do you have recommendations on how they do that? Maybe some of the social media channels that you have, website. Do you need to plug your book too?
Oh yes. So my book is on Amazon. It is Broken Crayon Still Color Volume 2, and it is a collaboration amongst 26 authors. And my story is actually story number 22. And that book is very life-changing, because any area of your life that you can think of that needs to be touched upon, there is something in that book for everybody. So my social media handles are for on Instagram, I am _Marita Lynn. And then my pageant Instagram is Miss USA Prime 4, because I'm Division 4, I'm over 40. So that's the highest you can go. Us over 40 somethings, we are the bee's knees.
I'm right there with you.
Yes. On Facebook, my personal page is Marita Lynn. And then my 2 pageant pages, because I had created a pageant page just before we had a national page. So it is Ms. USA Prime Division 4, Dr. Marita Wade, HC. So that is my personal one. And then my pageant one is Miss USA Prime Division 4 Reigning Queen, Marita Wade.
It's a lot to manage.
Well, but with Instagram, it's easy. And so if I post on my personal page, so the Instagram is linked, so I can do a one-hitter quitter. But if I go to my pageant page, then they're not linked the same way. So it can get a little tedious, but you just got to figure out, how to work it. And I planned out a social media, posting thing to just kind of keep me on track, because content creation is not as easy as people really think that it is.
Takes a lot of thought.
It does. It does.
I really appreciate you, Marita, coming and being a guest. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Through the Lens of Learning podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. I appreciate you.
This podcast is brought to you by Tracy Schroyer, PhD, LLC. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to share with your network and keep listening. Thanks again, and have a great day.